Hello and welcome to Financial Technology Frontiers Live. We always take the pleasure of bringing you in front of some of the global leaders who have been the flag bearers of the financial services and the fintech sector. Today, with me is a global personality who has been in the forefront when it comes to inclusion in the financial services, who has been the leader of the African Fintech Association, and he is also the chairman of IDEA, International Digital Economies Association. This personality has really been remarkable when it comes to taking the global standards in financial technologies and fintech to greater levels. I would be happy to introduce you to Dr. Segun Aina, who is going to share with us some of the interesting perspectives and learnings in his 40 plus years of career and his position as chairperson for several international communities that he has built up for taking the ecosystems to the next level. Dr. Aina, welcome to Financial Technology Frontiers Live.
Thank you very much, Babu.
Great. Sir, since it has been long innings for you in the last 70 years, and you have really seen the length and breadth of the industry, right from being executive director of banks to that of CEOs of banks in Africa. So you have been the executive director at EcoBank. You have been the CEO of Fountain Trust Bank. You have been chairman of various organizations like the Fintech Association of Nigeria, Fintech Association of Africa, and now the chairperson of Fintech of IDEA as well. So, from all this career map that you have seen, what are some of those interesting milestones that you would like to recall and the learnings that you would like to share with our listeners today?
Yes, thank you very much once again. And it's quite interesting and amusing when I hear that I'm going to be 70 in a few days' time, 31st of January, because I always think that 70-year-old man is a very old man. And I'm sure I'm not an old man, I'm still a young man, in mind and in action. But again, we give glory to God. Yeah, talking about, landmarks, highlights of one's career. I would say rather than talk about the highlight of my life in 70 years, I rather want to limit it to 50 years, which coincide with my work life. By the way, August 1, 2024, that was last a few months ago, marked 50 years exactly that I started working as a banker. I started working as a banker in August 1st, 1974, as a young school leaver, against my expectation because I wanted to become a doctor, a medical doctor. So I studied the sciences in school, but as luck we have it, I started an holiday job in the bank. I started writing the banking exams, and by the time my admission to university came up, I felt that I made so that progress in my examination. My boss advised me, maybe rightly so, now we can say, to stay in banking that I have a very flourishing career ahead of me. So that was why I got stuck, had my professional banking diploma from the London Institute of Bankers, had my first degree, master's degree, and so on. The rest is now history. In my banking career, which is almost exactly 30 years that I work in the bank, I've always been driven by the need to excel in whatever I do or whatever I did. Not just to be an ordinary person working, but to be super and extraordinary. And that was why in my young days, the United Bank for Africa, I was identified quickly, immediately I joined as one of the high-flying staff, and we were put together as a group of high flyers, high potential management candidates, which were spotted by then by the Banque Nationale de Paris, BNP Paris, which was the major shareholder in UBA, United Bank for Africa at the time. And that gave me accelerated progress in terms of special manpower development programs and so on and so forth. And when I became a manager in the bank, I was one of the youngest, if not the youngest branch manager of my time. But yet, I was still restless. I wanted to do new things. I wanted to do greater things. So for me, what had driven my banking career was the need to be outstanding, the need to pioneer things, and the need to turn something that is seemed to be bad into something great. For instance, I had a flourishing career in United Bank for Africa. After 15 years, after my education and everything, I thought I wasn't getting enough in a bank that is already made. I wanted to try new things. That was why I joined Eco Bank when it was just a new bank. Eco Bank was just 2 months old when I joined. And my boss then was asking me, why do you want to leave a fully established international bank and going to join an Eco Bank that is new? My answer to him was that it is people that has built UBA to where it is today. Let me also go and join to build a new bank, and make it, a very big bank. And I'm very proud of what I did in Eco Bank, coming in as assistant general manager and leaving the bank as executive director, the number 2 person in the bank. And I was instrumental to the expansion of that bank in terms of branching out to new locations, in terms of impacting some of the other countries where EcoBank had branches or banks at that time. At that time, it was just in 5 countries, 2 English-speaking, Nigeria, Ghana, and 3 Francophone, Cote d'Ivoire, Benin, and Togo. I was in charge of operations and training for the entire EcoBank. And that exposed me to a lot of things. And I was able to make my mark, and I was able to leave a legacy of putting in place a properly technology-focused bank. Because at that time, EcoBank was the first bank in the world to use the banking application that we used to call Globus at the time. It's now called T24. We were the first bank in Africa. I was saddled with the responsibility of ensuring that this new software, that we are pioneering, we're able to get the benefit out of it. So today, T24 is, a worldwide banking application that is used. But I use that to put the bank on the pedestal of growth, the pedestal of technology, and so on and so forth. But at that time, it was highly, highly respected in the Nigerian and African banking scene. And then today, EcoBank is present in 35 countries in Africa. So we were the one that did those building blocks that set the stage for EcoBank to be where it is today. And I'm very proud of that.
Let us talk a little about ecosystem building exercise. One is, of course, you started off with the Fintech Association of Africa. Now, recently, you are the chairman of IDEA, which is International Digital Economies Association. As an ecosystem builder, what was those speciality that you saw in a concept like IDEA to bring forward this concept and also to take the leadership for this and take it to the world? What is the thought behind this idea, and how do you propose to include the global digital economies under this single umbrella of IDEA?
Yes. Like I mentioned, looking ecosystem building is very crucial to ensure, to facilitate collaboration, partnership to do greater things. And one of the benefits of experience that I had was my experience in the Society of Bankers of Nigeria, where I rose through the rank to become the president. That's an ecosystem that was already established in 1963. But I was one of the people that, had the opportunity of making significant changes within that ecosystem of banking professionals in Nigeria. And of course, the Nigeria Fintech Association of Nigeria, Africa Fintech Network. And what is next? The next thing is global, the world. Having done it in Nigeria, having done it for Africa, how can we bring everybody together around the world? And that has been top of my mind. And I've been talking to a number of players. I spoke to them in Innovate Finance in the UK. I spoke to them in Singapore, Monetary Authority of Singapore, Singapore Fintech Association, spoke to Australia Fintech Association, Hong Kong Fintech Association, So how can we work together? It was very late in coming. But the good thing is that everything was for good. 2 years ago, a friend of mine, Chia Lok, in Singapore, the first president of Singapore Fintech Association, raised this idea that because we have been talking about it, hey, this time has come. But at that time, things slowed down until recently, early last year, when he reached out to me again, and Amo from Philippines said, hey, they want me to be, they want us to set this up, and we started it. And it was interesting that at the first meeting that the group that set up had in Hong Kong, I wasn't there. I couldn't make that meeting. I was unanimously, elected as the pioneer president of International Digital Economic Association. I saw that as a real privilege and an honor by global leaders to, put me in that position. And I know it's a position of responsibility.
Superb. When we are talking about the Global Fintech Alliance and your global collaboration initiatives, so how are you creating leadership for international organizations such as Global Education Standards Board and preparing the professionals for global challenges in the banking and financial sector?
I want to tell you a short story of how Global Banking Educational Standard Board came about. In 2010, during the World Conference of Banking Institutes, the world of banking professionals saw the need to standardize banking education to improve ethics and professionalism training for bankers across the world. Mind you, that was at the end of the global financial crisis. And we wanted to make sure that those kind of crises, even if they're going to happen in the future, doesn't have the kind of damage that it did to the world economy. That was where the idea was meted. And 2011, there was a task force of 9 countries. And I was nominated to represent Nigeria. And there were somebody from the UK, somebody from India, somebody from Malaysia. We were about 9 of us to design that. It took us 6 years of hard work, traveling, and so on and so forth. And at the end of that, in 2017, we launched the Global Banking Education Standard Board, and the world decided that, hey, let's wait for 3 months to think about the leadership of that global body. And when they convened again, it was unanimously decided that I should be the pioneer chairman of the Global Banking Education Standard Board, based on what they have seen of me in terms of work during the 6 years that we were trying to create that institution. And it's a formidable force towards ensuring that we standardize banking education across the world. So that if you started your banking career in Hong Kong or Rwanda and you want to work in Canada or in the UK, you don't need to start all over again to know about the practices and so on and so forth. There are certain practices that can be standardized, which put everybody at the same level. So that because today we have banks operating across the globe, HSBC, Standard Chartered Bank, so many banks are within, and even within, let's say Africa, we have a lot of banks operating across boundaries, in 20 countries, in 30 countries. The whole idea was to, design a standard of education that is, acceptable, and by so doing, we have a more stable banking and financial system.
Interesting. Sir, one more important thing is you have been a leader throughout. You have had uh, experiences at institutions like Harvard, INSEAD, IMD, and various other such global institutions. How do you draw inspiration to continuously influence fintech and financial ecosystem and digital economies globally? How do you marry both this together?
Well, I've been lucky to have benefited from education in many, apart from the fundamental education that I have, my first degree as master's degree, where I did very well, and of course the professional banking education. Because of my career, I found, just as I've said, educational education teams at the IMD in Switzerland, at UCL in France, and Harvard Business School and Lagos Business School. And this gave me new horizons and challenges me to be able to do more. But more importantly, it created for me a new set of networks, because you see, the world is about network. And one of the things that drives me today, and will be driving me the last 40 years, is partnership. Because nobody, no one person can do it all. You can, that no matter how good you have to work with people to get that synergy outcome that is desired for great outcome. So having the opportunity to sit down in class with people from across the world, in INSEAD, in IMD, in Harvard, gave me a lot of, expanded my sphere of influence. And I can put a call to anybody. There's no part of the world today that if I need to get some information, I can't pick a phone and call somebody. By the time I look at oh yes, I met this guy, he never, and so on and so forth. So that has helped me in some of the transformation, some of the pioneering efforts, in some of the ecosystem building efforts that I've been opportune to achieve about inclusive finance. Inclusive finance, the digital influence in inclusive finance, which is a major thing, particularly in the developing world. How can financial inclusion help to grow economy? In IMD, for instance, there was a professor of mine who lectured and told us that goodwill, is a very great asset.
Doctor, a couple of more things. If I want to ask you the three important initiatives that you are doing now, which you would like to highlight to the world, which you are planning in the next 1 year or maximum 2 years. What are those two or maximum three initiatives, a very small bullet point that you would like the global fraternity, the global digital economies to work with you on?
It's a very interesting question. We've talked about my exploits in banking, both locally and globally. We've talked about what I've been privileged to do in the fintech space, which I call my second career, the fintech world. And I've seen it all operated at the global level. So the initiative, the third initiative I'm looking for now, my third word now, my third word now is about innovation and entrepreneurship. That was why 2 years ago, I created a company called Opolo Global Innovation. Opolo means brain in my language, Opolo, because I believe that every human being has a brain and every good idea comes from the brain. That was how that company was named. And it's supposed to be a global company. That was to put global into it. And everything it's doing must be innovative. So we have a couple of global innovation. And the whole idea is to make it a social enterprise. That I discovered a gap in terms of, for instance, in Africa. Africa has the youngest population in the continent of the world, with 18 years as median age. Africa is 1.4 billion people, projected to be about 2.5 billion in 2050. Yet, a lot of them, even though they are fantastic raw materials in quotes, but they need to be empowered, they need to be improved in terms of providing them knowledge, basic knowledge, particularly digital knowledge, because the world today is driven by digital, by technology.
Let's make it three crisp points that you would like to put. So one is about the jobs, right?
Yes, what to make sure while we create jobs for people by building talents, which we are doing in global innovation. The next thing for me, which I'm going to start to do from next year, which I've started doing, is to document my thoughts in form of books. And we started with 4 books now. Between now and February or March, 4 books will be released. 2 of them should be released on 31st January, which is on, the first one is redefining innovation and entrepreneurship for 21st century ventures. It's supposed to tell how can, just in terms of creating jobs, how can you fast track the process. The second one is about financial technology and digital banking. How we need to further integrate digital into banking. The third one is about leadership. Because in everything you do, you need great leaders, and everybody is a leader. How does leaders develop leaders? I'm writing a book on leadership using my life, and of course, lastly, I will continue to work with leaders across countries towards doing things that can make the world a better place.
Super. Just approaching 70 and moving forward, when people work with you, how will you like to be remembered by everyone who has worked with you based on the principles that you have contributed to the humanity and the global digital economy?
In my life, everything I've done, I've not done it for me to get accolades or to get benefit. I just did it just the way I thought I should do. But it's very interesting and assuring that people have seen from the results, people have credited me to have done some great things. And we thank God for this. And How do I want to be remembered? I want to be remembered as a leader that has created a lot of leaders who are changing the world. So I want to be remembered for that person who shares knowledge, who creates platform for people to go. No, it's only one place, only one person that will clear a pathway. Millions of people will walk through that pathway. I want to be that person that is remembered for creating the opportunities.
Wonderful. And as the chairman of IDEA, my last question to you is, what is it that you want to say the world as a chairman of IDEA? And what kind of enrollment do you seek from the global economy?
We have created idea and we have leaders from 70 countries. Eventually, have global leaders from every country in the world connected to IDEA and be part of IDEA. So that we can then become a formidable force that can assist and support various governments in their digital initiatives, that can assist and support regional and international organizations in crafting their digital policy, in helping them to execute those digital policy. We can work with fund providers through the associated idea global fund that we are hoping to put together to see where gap exists in terms of investment opportunities for digital solutions that we can aim to meet that gap. And when you have that, thought leaders from all over the world, it makes the job simple because you see people that have already done it before and you can work together just as we have started working together to use our collective might, to impact the world. And with digital, if you look at some countries,
Superb. We wish you all the success in these goals and objectives of IDEA. Thank you very much for this wonderful conversation, sir.
thank you very much, Babu. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.